we promote science and skepticism in Malaysia, and free thought as well. It started off as a blog, as a personal blog by myself, but then it just organically grew out of that. And now there's a roster of friends that take care of different stuff of the site. So basically what we do is we want people to question everything, and we want to promote science as a way to view the world as opposed to superstition. It was a personal blog, and the name Unscientific Malaysia was a take on this book called Unscientific America. Basically, the book discusses the trend of in USA, where people tend to forego science and facts and go with superstition and a lot of things that are very, very unscientific. So we thought it was a clever take on that, but obviously the book never reached our shore, and the reference was sort of lost from that, and since that we've been operating with that name for many years now.
Well, the Sinar Project didn't actually even have a name until last November. So at around that time, which I think is about last year, July, there was also an announcement by the Barack Obama administration on the Open Government Partnership, which was basically for all different countries to start working on making government data open and transparent so that people can be more involved and be more knowledgeable about government information. So I thought, okay, cool, let's bring this to Malaysia. A lot of the things in Malaysia, citizens want to be more involved, but we don't have this information to be involved and make proper decisions. A lot of it is hearsay or emotional talk without any real facts to back up without any real facts to back it up or anything. And we didn't have sources for this. So initially we just thought about three simple ones. One was to basically track people of interest, people like politicians, so that we know more about who they are, where they're from, their backgrounds. One of them said, that's it, I'm going to write an application that makes me easily see what bills are going to be proposed in Parliament, so I can track if it's going to affect me or not. I myself was kind of annoyed with the accusations of corruption being listed. I saw lots of wild lists, people conflicting mismanagement with corruption and so on. So I thought, okay, we really need to have a proper tracking of all these issues in an objective manner and not subjective manner. And also not to forget previous issues. So it's raised publicly and then people forget about it. So I was like, I need to track this because we have these things and it's repeating yearly and people forget. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do a corruption tracker. We thought, okay, what's a good word for the project? And you know, it had to be local. And somebody suggested, oh no, something shiny, transparent, Sinar. Okay, Project Sinar it is, and the name stuck.
So it's not actually an acronym of such.
No.
What we started as was we were sort of like a watchdog for media. We see tabloids like Cosmo or Harian Metro, and we see a lot of really dodgy stories on superstition, on the supernatural. So we wanted to give a scientific explanation of what was actually happening, and we want people to see that as an alternative way of looking at what happened rather than a supernatural explanation, and basically that's what it is. Okay,
so in a way, so we tie up in similar things because, again, for us, we see unsubstantiated like things like saying, for example, people would say things like, oh, in Malaysia, all businesses are related to government, or only the elite get all the contracts or something, but there's no actually concrete, I've never seen actually hard evidence to show the percentages or of any of this. Is it really the top 1% getting everything, or is it spread out? So, and these are reported in the news.
I think at the base of it, we want people to back their arguments using concrete facts, using statistics, using facts that can be empirically observed, and not just hearsay. And we want people to be more responsible of what they say and of what they report. I think that's the main similarity between our projects. I think one of the biggest challenges that we face is that people are prone and people would want to believe in conspiracy theories rather than just simple facts. Sometimes a lot of things can just be easily explained. Yes, it was like this, it's like this. There is no hidden agenda or hidden hand behind it. But people do not want that. People expect things to have a bigger agenda behind it. So they think that no, there is a conspiracy theories behind a lot of things, whether it be the Jews or it be the Americans. It's always like that. And another thing is when we put forth facts and references that go against local perceptions, people think, oh, you cannot take that stance or you cannot take that view because it's foreign. It came from the Western culture, so you should not take that into consideration because we are not Westerns. But the thing is, a lot of things are universal. A lot of values or truth are universal and accepted everywhere. It does not belong to the West. It does not belong to the East, and we cannot restrict ourselves to just thinking about everything in the terms of East versus West. That's what I think.
And then, again, also to protect our integrity, the Sinar Project as a community, we stick strongly to being apolitical in the sense that we don't get any support from any political parties. We refuse to take anything, and then everybody in the project is Malaysian, so there's no. For example, we cannot accuse us of being any politically sides, or you can even accuse us of being foreign influence, well, because we're Malaysians. So, the best thing that we found out when we did this, while keeping strongly to being apolitical, strictly to facts and data, is that we get people from different sides of the political divide actually working with us, regardless of their political beliefs, because they find out that this is just information, and it's actually beneficial for everybody. And so by sticking strictly to that, we've been able to avoid accusations of being politically biased. Though there are some really interesting, I don't know, maybe you can relate more to this, but one of the funniest things that we've been accused of was when I did the corruption tracking issue. People accuse me, it's like, why are you only focusing on the bad? Why don't you focus on the good? And I was, I don't know.
The thing is, people will always accuse you of something. If you're going to another side, they will say, oh, why are you? For example, I mean, in the context of Unscientific Malaysia, when we do something on religion, people will say, you are not secular enough. And then when we do something on something that is more secular, you're not religious enough. So you can never satisfy everyone, and you should never try to. So I think we don't have enough dissenting views. We put too much. We put too much importance on authorities, and I think it has been ingrained to us since school. It's just that the way that we are teaching kids is, since we do a lot of things to get people to pass exams, so our objective is for students to pass exams rather than for them to gain knowledge. So whatever the way that the teachers are teaching, most of them, they are just doing it so that students will pass exams as efficiently as possible. So when you get a certain way of teaching, so you just want to stick to that because your performance is rated by how many students that pass, that sort of thing. So I find it disturbing. So yeah,
because it also has a very negative impact in the creative industry as well, or even the tech industry, which I'm involved in. One of the things that we found out was when we deal with students and in the open source community, where development is open, you put all your work out to be criticized or praised, and then you ask questions to a community. No matter what questions there are no dumb questions. And a couple of us, or actually a lot of so-called, you would see, they kind of be termed gurus or something. They're not actually gurus in Malaysia, but they're given that way because they're forced to be an authority figure in Malaysia. What we found out is that these people are not actually any better. They just were not scared to ask questions, and when they asked the questions, people answered them. When they made mistakes and put it online, people helped them fix their mistakes. So they actually became better very quickly because of this feedback loop that they had. And then when we try to bring this to local students or even local young professionals who said, okay, how can we learn to be just as good as you are? How can we gain those skills? They're mortified. They're so scared to put they're scared to ask questions. They're afraid to, they're scared to ask questions. And instead of, when we're invited to talks, for example, at universities, instead of being treated as peers, because we are peers in terms of exchanging ideas, we're treated as this authority figure who's an expert from outside. And any questions? And they're like, I mean, depends on which age you are, but I'm a parent and I have children, and I think I think parents actually have a strong say in this. What I've noticed is that the people who do question, who actually tend to be more knowledgeable about general knowledge, is actually from a lot of support from their parents. Their parents buy them books, buy them magazines. It can be National Geographic, or they just bring them from work, or they buy it from work. And also just for parents to keep nurturing their kids, to keep questioning, to always stay curious. Because I think changing a system is really hard. And if you're just a young professional, it can be extremely scary, especially if you just join work at a company. If you have any idea, there's already a system in place. So for students, I think you should talk to your parents, and I think get support from your parents, because I think your parents are interested in supporting you. If you're a young professional, my advice is to find a local community of your peers outside of your work. This will break down the authority barrier, and it would allow you to get different views, and even it's really good actually for young professionals. You'll get experience, you'll get contacts from more senior people, so it's actually good for your professional. It's actually good for your professional career as well. So find a local community, and there's a lot. For example, for tech groups, there's people doing robotics and open hardware. There are people doing open source related things. For web developers, there's a thing called WebCamp that happens every month. And these are all places without authority, with your peers, that you can feel, gain confidence in dealing with staying creative and asking questions.
First is pick your battles. You cannot fight every battle, and you might not even win them a lot. But just getting people to talk about it is a good enough win sometimes. And another thing is try to work the system. Like you said before, it is very hard to change the status quo and the system. So try to work your way around the system, whether you're in school or whether you're just whether you're a young professional or just a normal guy. What I would say is, for example, for students, yes, you do need to pass your exams. That's just another goal. But just remember that the world is bigger than your school, and I think internet has played a big role in freeing people from the shackles of their schools or status quo. Find a place where you can feel comfortable in expressing your thoughts and your probably your dissenting views, that kind of thing. When we started Unscientific Malaysia, it was a place where we didn't put any barriers. It was a no-holds-barred place for people to discuss things like religion, faith, on Malaysia in general. So as a consequence, you get a lot of people talking about topics that are even not concerning us, because they think, oh, we found a safe haven for us just to talk, and people will not censor us.
I'm Khairil from the Sinar Project. Catch me at TEDxKL.
I'm Zurairi AR from Unscientific Malaysia. Catch me at TEDxKL.